Hello, and welcome to the Cigar Snob podcast. I am senior editor Nick Jimenez, joined by Eric Caruino.
Tally-ho, mate.
And Ivan Ocampo.
Okay, really weird hellos by both of you. I'm just going to give you the normal one. Hello.
All right. We can live with that. So today on the Cigar Snob podcast, we will be talking about this Debonaire cigar that we're smoking. That's not just a way to describe it. That's the name of the brand.
That is the name of the brand. The Debonaire Maduro.
Bunch of cigar industry birthday stuff, the Oscars, winners, losers, and then we'll get into some recommendations, some South African land grabs, and an angry reader of Cigar Snob magazine. I don't know if he was angry, but we'll get into all that after a word from our sponsor, Villiger Cigars. Villiger Cigars, celebrating 130 years in tobacco, unveils its first ever full-bodied premium handmade cigar in the Villiger La Vencedora. The Villiger La Vencedora is the follow-up cigar to the highly acclaimed Villiger La Flor de Inclán and Villiger Sandoro Colorado. This Nicaraguan puro, wrapped in a beautiful Nicaraguan Habano puro wrapper, boasts a potent, full-bodied smoking experience featuring highly seasoned, hearty flavors. The Villiger La Vencedora, which translates to the Victor, emits a billowing aromatic smoke throughout the smoking experience. The Villiger La Vencedora, a palate-pleasing, full-bodied, yet elegant cigar that will satisfy the cigar connoisseur as well as the casual smoker. And we're back. As we said before, we are smoking Debonaire, specifically the Debonaire Maduro. Normally we would read a bit of blurb from a cigar manufacturer's website about whatever it is we're smoking, but in this case there's really not anything on their website that is specifically about what the cigar tastes like. We can talk about it a bit ourselves. We just got this cigar in the mail from the folks at Debonaire. It was featured in one of our nifty unboxing videos.
I literally just posted that. So if you go on Facebook, you'll see it. It just went up, even though we recorded it like last week. You recorded it.
That's right. Yeah,
with technical difficulties.
I was the man behind the camera for that one. But yeah, this is it is wrapped in a Connecticut broadleaf wrapper. It's got a Dominican binder and fillers from Central America and the Dominican Republic. So their website actually doesn't specify which Central American country is in the filler. Could be Honduras, could be Nicaragua, could be Guatemala. Who knows?
Could be Panama.
Parts unknown.
Yeah. Could be Belize.
It could be Belize.
It could be Belize. We're going to go with Belize. This has fillers from Belize and the Dominican Republic.
No. Let's not do that.
We're not going to do that. We don't know where it's from, but it is Central American. In at least some of the filler. We are smoking this in, how would you say this, Eric? Is it Sagita?
I don't know. Sagita? Well, Phil, owner of the company, of the brand, Phil Zenghi, has an Italian background.
Okay.
So I'm trying to pronounce it in an Italian way, and I could be completely off.
Got it.
But I'm going to go with Sagita.
Okay. Yeah, that sounds pretty good. So
however, the cigar is made... Did I go way too loud there?
No.
Okay, because I saw your reaction.
No.
So someone here at the office was saying Sagita. I don't know.
Yeah,
so,
it sounds Japanese the way you're pronouncing it.
Sagita?
No, I have no idea.
Me neither.
But I really dig the size.
The size is awesome, and can we talk about it, Nick?
We can talk about it.
Okay.
This is the Sagita, or Sagita, pick whichever one you like, is a Petit Lancero. So this is a 5.5 by 38. I'm going to go ahead and say that this is probably the smallest cigar that we've smoked on the podcast.
Yes.
So for the people who follow that sort of thing, that's, I guess, a noteworthy thing. This is the first time that you're hearing us smoke something in a format like this. And it's interesting that in the smallest format we've smoked, it is a very hearty Connecticut broadleaf.
Indeed.
So it packs a punch. It punches above its weight, so to speak, to borrow an Obamaism. But yeah, it definitely tastes broadleafy, right? It's got that hearty, peppery.
And look, man, when you have a 38 ring gauge, and you've got this thick, hearty, as you said, broadleaf wrapper, it's gonna dominate, right? And that's a good thing in this case.
Yeah.
So because it is quite tasty, I'm enjoying it. I mean, I literally just got into it, so I want to give it a second and I want to borrow your lighter there.
Sure. Yeah, I like these Vitolas. I tell everybody that most of the cigars that are left in my humidor are usually the bigger sizes because I go through these small ones a lot. They're the first ones that I reach for. So flavor-wise, I really am really enjoying it. And I love the size. So yeah,
Cool.
Let's give it a little time.
Yeah. So the other thing is the package, and this isn't anything new, but their packaging it's different. Like, it stands out. It's got like it's classic, but it feels very American, I guess, in a way, because of this whole horse and carriage or horse and cart or whatever that thing is.
Horse and buggy.
But yeah, I dig that as well. It's a nice looking cigar on top of everything else. This, by the way, is distributed by Drew Estate, so they have a pretty good distribution, and they do a good job on their website, in case you're curious, of letting you know where you can get them. So
And they do liquor too, right? Because I remember them starting off with like rums, I think.
yeah, they still have a rum, and Phil also owns the Indian
Motorcycle.
Indian head. No.
not Indian.
Sorry, Indian head is something else.
Yeah,
Indian
but,
motorcycle.
right? The cigar brand.
Yes.
Brand.
Yeah. So anyway, we'll come back to the cigar in a bit. But last episode, we talked about that, Eric, you were going to be on your way to Rocky Patel's birthday party in Naples at Burn by Rocky Patel.
I sure did.
How was that? Reporting back to us on the party.
It's awesome as usual, right? Events at any event at Rocky Patel Burn is going to be good every time. So imagine when it's the man's birthday, right? So it was awesome. We had a lot of driving that day.
What time did you go to bed?
I mean, I don't really remember. So my sister and I pulled up to our hotel, dropped off our car, and Ubered there so that we wouldn't have to worry about Naples cops. And so we Ubered there and Ubered back, and I couldn't even tell you what time we got back. After Burn started to slow down, Rocky, as he typically does, will take a few of his friends out and we'll grab something to eat at like 11 or midnight. And then after that, go back and keep hitting the hard stuff. So yeah, we had a good time.
What was Rocky's birthday late night meal? What is...
So there's a restaurant right across from Burn in Naples called Clavo, and I believe Rocky is a partner there, and so he orders way too much food. He, by the way, eats very little. I don't know if you guys know how like he's on a health kick and he's working out daily. And
he looks fit.
He looks incredibly fit. He'll jump on a table if you want him to from a standing position, just to show you how fit he is.
Is that something he goes around saying? I'll jump on a table. Tell me to jump on a table.
He comes very close. He comes very close to telling you, "Hey, if you want, I will jump on this table." So anyway, he ordered a bunch of different foods. These little sliders. Oh man, all kinds of sushis and all kinds of stuff. So we ate way too much for that time of the night, at least for me. Like, I can't eat it that late, but I did. Because he kept going, "No, you have to try this. Have you had this? Have you tried this?" And then it was like, at the end of the night, I had way too much food. But the wine was good. Rocky's big into wine. So yeah, it was awesome. Awesome. What can I tell you? Rocky Patel Burn's always a good time. He said Pittsburgh is almost ready to open.
It was the new Burn location in Pittsburgh.
Yes, the new Burn in Pittsburgh is about to open, and the Oklahoma City is close behind.
Cool.
So we're gonna start to see a bunch of these open up, and they are. And from what he tells me, I haven't been yet, and Ivan, you and I are slated to go there very soon. But from what he tells me, each Burn is gonna have a very different feel, very different look, and he's extremely excited about it. So I can't wait.
Other things we can't wait for, our next El Galan cigar. El Galan is a sponsor of this episode. They are the makers of El Galan Reserva Especial, which comes in 4 box-pressed sizes. Airosos, which is the 5x52, the 5 3/4 by 54 Apuestos, the 6x52 Gallardos, which is a torpedo, and the 6x60 Obesos. These are all 100% Nicaraguan cigars made with Jalapa Oscuro wrappers, available in stores nationwide. You can find El Galan Cigars at their website, which is elgalancigars.com, and search for them the same way on Facebook, Instagram, and Twitter. So that's El Galan Cigars, ELGALAN Cigars.com. El Galan is owned by Felix Mesa, as we've said numerous times here. He is not only our friendly neighborhood tobacco man, but also the owner of this brand, and will be running the new Fuente factory in Estelí.
Called La Bella y la Bestia.
Called La Bella y la Bestia, which, for more information on that, you can go back to our podcast interview with Carlito Fuente. You know what we haven't done when we've talked about these cigars is what these Vitola names mean. We talked about El Galan being like the gallant guy, or the gallant one. But these names are all kind of like in line with that theme, no? So you've got airosos, which is sort of like someone who puts on airs.
Yep.
Apuestos. How would you say?
That's a good one. I don't know how you would describe un apuesto.
Yeah. Well,
Someone, no sé.
all right. Well, we're going to leave you hanging on that one. Gallardo.
If I would have known you were going to go
No,
this
I
route,
know,
I would have looked it up.
Just trying to change things up a little bit here. Obesos is...
But an apuesta is a bet.
Exactly,
So
yeah.
someone who is apuesto,
Maybe it's like...
que es atractivo o tiene buena presencia.
so
Especialmente un hombre. There
got
you
nothing
go.
to do with betting. So just
Nothing.
an attractive guy.
Dapper, like a dapper.
Dapper.
Dashing
There you go.
gentleman.
Yeah. And obesos. So...
Not dapper.
Not dapper.
Just large.
Yeah. Anyway, so El Galan Cigars, again, you can find them at elgalancigars.com. Check them out. Smoke their cigars. Good stuff. We're big fans around here. And now, back to your regularly scheduled podcast. We are going to wish a happy birthday. The birthday's today, right? Liana Fuente.
Exactly today, yes.
We are recording this March 6th. And today is Liana Fuente's birthday. So it's a nice little segue from Fuente Connected Guy to a Fuente birthday. Liana Fuente, happy birthday to you.
Happy birthday, Liana.
Happy birthday, Mongi.
Should we sing her happy birthday?
I think we're going to go the same route. We're going to have to find another, because if we gave Rocky the mariachi
Sure.
treatment, we're going to have to see what we do with Liana. But we'll cut in.
Liana, this birthday wish is for you. Here you go.
This one goes out to Liana Fuente. Happy
Happy
birthday.
birthday to you. Happy birthday to you. Happy birthday to Jenny. Happy birthday to you. बार बार दिन ये आए, बार बार दिल ये गाए, तू जिए हजारों साल, ये मेरी है आरज़ू.
Happy birthday to you.
Oh,
Happy birthday to you. Happy birthday to you.
Liana wins a birthday song. But this weekend, a lot of people won other stuff at the Oscars. Let's go down the list here. We'll just go through the winners. So, Best Picture went to The Shape of Water, a movie we've recommended here on the podcast. Best Actor to Gary Oldman. Eric, you mentioned having seen Darkest Hour. That got... Or did you see Darkest Hour?
I did not.
No.
I did
all
not.
right, well, I guess we didn't talk about it here. Whatever. Best Actress, Frances McDormand for 3 Billboards Outside Ebbing, Missouri.
What I
mentioned
find
that.
funny is how many of these movies Nick recommended throughout the podcast.
A lot of them.
Right? 3 Billboards was one of his
Yeah,
recommendations.
Shape of Water.
Shape of Water was another.
I, Tonya.
I, Tonya. It's
I,
crazy
Tonya.
how Nick is in line with the...
I'll tell you what's funny. I'm looking at the show notes here and I'm saying, you know what? I saw most of these movies and I think Nick recommended a bunch of them, except for Larry Bird. I did not see any movie, but it's actually Lady Bird.
Does it say Larry Bird on the list?
No, but I saw it. I was like, man, I don't remember seeing any movie at the Oscars called Larry Bird.
You know, now hang on a second, because there's also Get Out.
Get Out, yeah.
Right,
Which won
and-
Best Screenplay.
Wait, I recommended
And he
that one.
recommended
That's right,
that.
yeah.
So I
Boom.
think I'm recommending too many books, so that's not cool. And
Well,
so
we
I
don't.
need to fix
we
this.
could look into it. For all we know, you're recommending a bunch of award-winning books here.
I'm not liking my performance on the recommendations.
But yeah, Best Supporting Actor went to Sam Rockwell, also 3 Billboards. Best Supporting Actress, Allison Janney for I, Tonya. Best Original Screenplay, Get Out, which was written by Jordan Peele. And Best Adapted Screenplay, Call Me By Your Name, which was written by James Ivory, based on a novel by Andre Aciman. I might have said that wrong. Finally, Best Animated Feature Film was Coco. So, which of these have you... We've at least 2 of us have seen Coco, right? You saw
Yeah.
Coco, I
Yep.
saw Coco.
I have not seen Coco.
So Eric has not seen Coco, but Coco was also good. It wasn't like I'm going to definitely be showing it to my kids whenever they're, in existence.
What are you trying to say, Nick?
What am I trying to say?
Are you making some sort of announcement?
No, I'm not making an announcement. Well, I'm making the announcement that I'm not crazy about Coco.
All right. Just want to be clear.
No, but I'm just saying it's not like Beauty and the Beast, Aladdin level great in my mind.
Yeah, I don't think so. But it was entertaining and it was different.
Entertaining movies are always good.
I did show it to a group of kids, but I do appreciate that most of these made for kids movies nowadays actually has a lot of interest that adults can pay attention to. So,
are there any on this list that you would have given the award to somebody other than the person who won, or movie that won?
Whoa, you needed to give me some time to think about this one.
So Gary Oldman won Best Actor.
Yeah.
He should have won Best Supporting Actor for his portrayal of a Jamaican drug dealer.
True Romance.
In True Romance.
Yeah.
So that's just throwing that out there. Let's see.
So I'm terrible for this because I haven't seen enough of these. I'm really.
Everything that The Shape of Water won was very deserving, especially Guillermo del Toro taking Best Director, because if you can take a
you can
script,
make that work.
about a girl who falls in love with a sea monster.
I have seen The Shape of Water referred to numerous times as Grinding Nemo.
Ooh, I like this.
Which I think is pretty great. So I'm going to go ahead and call that Grinding Nemo from here on out. But yeah, I think the choices were pretty solid. There at least weren't any like obvious you shouldn't have won choices here.
Well, so my son Anthony thinks it's funny that The Shape of Water, a movie about a woman falling in love with a sea monster, he's 10 years old. He finds that to be hilarious. Completely and utterly
really
hilarious.
Yeah, it's pretty funny. So if you watched the ceremony, and this really wasn't a surprise, but it's almost impossible to talk about the ceremony and even some of the winners without some of that like social messaging.
Oh my God, it was rampant.
So yeah, I mean, you had everything from shots at Mike Pence in the opening monologue to Frances McDormand's acceptance speech,
Putting the Oscar way down by her feet
and about
pointing out.
And the writers.
Yes.
Yeah, the inclusion writer comment all the way at the end.
How about Trump's tweet? Did you hear about this?
I don't know about Trump's tweet. What did Trump? These are always good.
I got it here. Right? Lowest rated Oscars in history. Problem is, we don't have stars anymore, except your president.
Oh, man.
Just kidding.
He said just kidding?
Yeah, he did. What a great tweet.
Oh, my God. All you can do is laugh. All you can do is laugh at this guy's tweets.
I mean, it's unpresidential, obviously.
Yeah.
But he's gone way past that. So at this point now, you just laugh. And it becomes the new normal.
Absolutely. So what were your general thoughts on some of the tone and tenor of that Oscars night? And does it even matter?
It's tough, right? It's tough. You when you're in that position and you want to, get your message out. I understand. It was over and over and over and over. It was the feminist movement, the Mexico with the wall, and so it was just nonstop messaging. So I think it took away a little bit from the celebration of the actual Oscars.
Right. And to your point, I think it ends up making you, or at least some people, wonder, like, am I watching people awarding the best art, or am I watching people awarding the ideas that they want to advance? Right? Because almost all of the films that won have a little bit of that, right? Like, I'm not saying Coco wasn't the best animated feature, but having all that in between the awards makes you wonder, did it win because it's Coco, or did it win because it's Mexican? Did Allison, or not Allison Jett, did McDormand win because of her performance, or did she win because she plays an angry, feminist going after a male cop and police department? So it kind of, I think...
Yeah, but then at the same time, you have obviously The Darkest Hour, which has no agenda to speak of there. I mean, it doesn't seem like it. And what's the agenda on The Shape of Water?
Oh, well, I mean, yeah.
No, just other than the fact that Guillermo del Toro himself is Mexican.
Right.
But no, I think that the interesting part is that it does seem like the awards were given on merit. And it just so happens that in some of these cases, it lines up probably because of what's going on socially in the world and in our country. And I think that plays into it. But I think that the Academy got it right in most cases here.
Yeah, I just think I'd like to see it done in a way that doesn't make you question those motives, you know. And also just, you know, and there's not anything that you can do about this. Like, people are drawn to whatever profession they're drawn to, but there isn't a lot of that diversity of ideas. Case in point, Gary Oldman, in his speech, you know, he gives a speech that wasn't particularly impressive, but, you know, has a pretty, like, milquetoast message about, like, yeah, I'm glad to be in this country where I have opportunity and this, that, and the other thing, and there's just dead, like, crickets in the crowd, where anybody giving a Best Actor speech normally, or, you know, would get something just out of obligation for, like, you're supposed to clap for Best Actor, but just total cricket maneuver through that whole thing. So, and then you had the orange pins. There were lapel pins for gun control. So it was just all over the place. Meanwhile,
I think the transgenders were pulling for Shape of Water for the sea monster.
It was the sea monster transgender.
Wow.
Whoa.
They might have been pulling for that.
As always, send your angry letters to feedback@cigarsnobmag.com. Attention, Ivan Ocampo.
We have 2 transgenders that listen to our show. I know who they are. They're friends of the magazine, so we're good with them.
Yeah, I don't even know where I was gonna go.
It's like you hear the brake screeching and the record label screeching.
Anyway, so let's go back to, unless we have something else Oscar related that we want to say here. But yeah, back to Debonaire. What do you guys think? I'm maybe an inch in, and it hasn't changed a whole lot. I think maybe it's mellowed a bit. Some of the pepper is faded, which is good. I think, like, up front it lets you know what it is, but it kind of has backed off.
Yeah, there's a good bit of strength though for being such a small cigar. Good bit of strength, little earthiness balanced by a sort of ripe fruit sweetness that wrapper gives, and a touch of chocolate. That's kind of where I'm at with it. I'm enjoying it.
Ivan?
Yeah, I'm getting cinnamon, a good amount of pepper. I've had to relight it once. I don't know if that's because I was talking or...
Yeah, it's tough with the podcast because we end up talking through your next puff.
Yeah.
So I had to light it too.
If I were picking out a Vitola for this wrapper, I probably would smoke it in something a little wider.
Yep.
Because it's a Lancero or a Petit Lancero, so it burns hot. But even still, it's not so hot that it's like charring my palate or anything.
No, not at all.
But I think in a wider Vitola, I would pick up a little bit more of the nuance, and cooler smoke would be nice for this.
We rated the Debonaire Maduro, which is this same blend, but I think it was a Torpedo or a Bellicoso. It rated very, very well. I can bring a couple of those in so that we can revisit we've never done that. We've never smoked a cigar in one Vitola in one podcast and then smoked it on another. So I think we can maybe try that.
Sure.
I remember we all loved it.
So yeah, I mean, look out for... By the way, if you've smoked this in more than one size, write us at feedback@cigarsnobmag.com. And even if it's not for this cigar, what are your feelings in general on Lanceros, Petite Lanceros? Do you prefer wider ring gauges, smaller ring gauges? Let's get that geeky email machine going, and we'll maybe read your feedback on an upcoming episode of the podcast.
Nice segue, Nick.
Oh, yeah. So we will come back to the cigar in a bit, but in the meantime, we will be talking about South Africa.
Oh, baby.
I honeymooned in South Africa in, I believe it was May of 2017. It was awesome. The place is great. Unfortunately, I guess depending on who you ask, but I think there's probably consensus around this table this is unfortunate. But clearly some people disagree because that's how the votes happened. The South African legislature voted, and I'm basing this on a number of news reports, but who knows if maybe some of the specifics are a little different, but voted to basically amend the Constitution, specifically Section 25, which is about property rights, to allow for the confiscation of white-owned farmland without any compensation for the landowners. This is result of a pretty radical movement that has for a while, I think they're the Economic Freedom Fighters is the name of the political party there.
Yep.
And there's been a push for a long time to have like some more, racially representative land ownership in South Africa. And I think as of 2014, there had been a shift of like 8% of land ownership from white to black. And that was like short of whatever the goal was. But they've moved from doing that on a what I saw quoted as a willing buyer, willing seller model, which is basically just like, hey, let's improve everyone's lot, and hopefully some black people will buy land, right? Mm-hmm. Which is the way that you hope that goes, and shifted to more of a compulsory model, which had been tried in Zimbabwe, which apparently shit hit the fan there.
Did not work out well.
Did not work out well. Food shortages and the whole thing. I guess we shouldn't get too bogged down on the South African thing because none of us is particularly knowledgeable here. But we were talking about this earlier, and I think that there's
some parallels, right?
There's some parallels. Yeah, it's one of those things where it's like, you always hear, oh, this could never happen here, this could never happen there. And South Africa was a pretty well-developed, stable country since the end of apartheid, and there it goes.
And yet there's a bunch of dudes that own farms that their land's about to be taken. Now, how they went about getting that land in the first place, right, that's not part of the equation here, and that's what we don't know. But holy mackerel, you're the grandson of this farmer. You've been growing wine in South Africa, and suddenly you're about to lose your farm,
right,
without an option. Yeah. So yeah, there's a parallel though with what happened in Cuba, right?
Right. Yeah.
And so people think, like what you were saying, people think, oh, that would never happen in a stable, modern country, and yet here it is happening as we speak. Now, what we don't know again is, how those guys went about getting the land in the first place, and so that's why we don't have much of an opinion here.
And how much land is it? Because I did a little research just to see, because I've never been to South Africa. I've heard stories. I know, all the news that comes out of there, but whites make up 9% of the population. That's what I just Googled right now.
Yeah, that sounds right.
So how much land are we really talking about them taking? Still.
Yeah, and then that's part of what we don't know, right?
Let's say it was all 9% owned land. It's 9% probably too much.
Yeah, and I think it's also something that should concern cigar smokers in general, right? Because this is for all of Mandela's racial justice accomplishments, right? And there's definitely something to be applauded that it was a revolution that managed to be led by somebody who was ultimately pushing for more of a reconciliation sort of thing. Mm-hmm. On the flip side, it was a communist revolution. Like, you read through the Constitution and they don't have to change a lot to pull something like this off. So the system is pretty backwards on an economic level, as are, the system in like Nicaragua. The system in Nicaragua is, they're allowing for some of this stuff, but they're run by former Sandinista, basically. Honduras also, very socialist-leaning government. So it's one of those things that it's like,
yeah, so and that is the reason why we're talking about it, right? It's
right.
Not that because I imagine someone listening to the podcast right now is going, what the hell do these guys care about what's happening in South Africa? Right. This is a cigar podcast. So I just want to be clear that the reason we're talking about it is because of the parallel with the cigar business in Nicaragua and Cuba and Honduras.
Exactly. So I mean, you look at all of these cigar-producing countries and how many Cubans own the farms in Nicaragua, Honduras, the Dominican. Look at Lito Gomez. He's, I guess he's an American.
Uruguayo, yeah.
Yeah, but I mean, he's a landowner in the Dominican. So, I think it's one of those things that you should never get too comfortable with the idea that stability has gotten to the point where you're never going to get unstable. There's always a chance that something like this happens, and hopefully, this doesn't go all the way to fruition in South Africa. I think it still has to go through some legal hurdles, but to give you an idea, here's a quote from Julius Malema, who is the head of those economic freedom fighters. This is pretty freaky, but he says that in 2016, he said that we are not talking about the slaughter of whites, at least for now.
Holy shit.
So, pretty freaky stuff. what do we end on? Like some thoughts and prayers for South Africa or something? Because and this is bad news not just for white people in South Africa, but for everybody. Because we have food shortages because the land is communally owned. There are a lot of people already living in bad enough poverty there without the government creating more problems for them because they'd rather them not have food than buying it from white people. So anyway, we will keep an eye on that situation. And it also has, by the way, a connection to Cameroon, because the way that South Africa goes, the rest of Africa typically follows in a lot of ways.
Yeah.
So it could spell trouble for a lot of other African countries. So a lot of people in South Africa are clearly upset. So is one person who reads Cigar Snob magazine.
Yes.
We got what is my personal favorite email of all time to Cigar Snob magazine.
Really? This is your personal favorite?
This is my personal favorite. It's really good. So we're going to read this email to you all. This guy wrote the feedback email, so he can't possibly have a problem with us putting it out there. We'll leave his last name with an initial, as we usually do. And the email reads thusly. Hello. I have been a cigar smoker for about 25 years now. I'm in Cuba about 10 times a year and acquire my cigars directly from a roller at the El Corona factory in Havana. My favorite is the Cohiba Piramides Extra. I grew up on a tobacco farm. I know tobacco and cigars. I have 3 issues with your magazine. Why the girly photos? Are men really that attracted to skinny, breastless, 6-foot tall, angry women pretending to like cigars? I would get rid of them. It's demeaning to the cigars. And yes, I am totally heterosexual. So we'll pause there. I'm a big fan of the phrase totally heterosexual.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's not something we can relate to. The rest of us are only moderately heterosexual here, so I'm afraid we can't really empathize with this position. But Eric, as the founder of the magazine, why the girly photos, and why do you like tall, angry women who are breastless?
Man, the idea for the girly photos came very, very early on in the magazine. We started with no girly photos in issue 1 and 2, and then by issue 3, my man Ivan Ocampo and I decided, man, we need to do something to spruce things up, right? Get people looking at the magazine. And
let's bring on some titulous 6-foot tall angry women.
He said breastless. Ivan, breastless. Skinny, breastless, 6-foot tall angry women. So he's not wrong on the 6-foot thing, because most of these girls are
big.
Amazon women. But I think he's in the minority here.
In the minority, definitely.
Right?
I would say so. And it's funny, the people who I tend to see most engaged with those photo shoots are women. Like,
funny how much, yeah.
The men will say they're cool. Like, I like them. I dig that. Oh, hey, nice pictures. But the women are the ones who spend the most time per page on those photos, at least when I watch people flip through the magazine.
Yeah.
Or maybe the men find...
from the very beginning, by the way.
Yeah.
From the very beginning, from the first time, from issue 3, when we first put a model on the cover and did a photo shoot inside, women have been talking about the clothes in there from day one. So that's interesting. And then you can't argue when you go to cigar stores all around the country and Canada, where this guy's from.
Right.
And you see our centerfolds hanging on walls in cigar shops. You can't argue with that.
All right. So the next paragraph in this guy's note: why would anybody want to see photos of total strangers holding/smoking cigars? 6 or 7 pages of them yet. Cigar Aficionado does the same thing, and I could never understand it. So I don't know how many people this guy would like us to put in the magazine who are not strangers to him.
Yeah.
But that's another thing, is why would people like to see photos of total strangers holding and smoking cigars? I assume he means people who, you don't know, like nameless
the event
faces.
pages, yeah.
Well, I figured, maybe.
No, I think he means the event pages.
You're right. Yeah.
And Pro Cigar was the perfect example of why you do want to see this, right? When I was at Pro Cigar, I related the story last podcast that I ran into this guy who bought his ticket.
And sorry, just it was 2 podcasts ago, because it was the last time we did one of these conversations. But 2, in case somebody wants to go back and listen. But 2 podcasts ago. Yeah,
I ran into this gentleman and his son-in-law who were at Pro Cigar because they discovered the event on our pages, on our event pages. So I beg to differ. I think plenty of people do like to see other people enjoying cigars at events, even if they are total strangers.
Sure, yeah. And there are a lot of people who travel for those events. I think some people underestimate the number of people who travel around the country for those events.
Yeah, I'm questioning whether or not this guy actually does enjoy cigars with other people. He's just like a loner, like a hermit who smokes cigars that he buys from El Corona factory.
How can you call yourself a cigar publication and ignore, arguably, the best cigars in the world? Yes, Cuba. So this is a question that we get a lot, especially from the international readership. I'll let you guys, again, because you guys have been around from day one with the magazine, explain to the people why it is that we don't deal with Cuban cigars for the most part.
Well, our publication started off distributed only in the U.S. Nowadays we are in other places, but in other countries, I should say. But the idea is that Cuban cigars cannot legally be purchased in the United States, and therefore it's impossible for a cigar store to sell them legally. Our magazine is distributed throughout cigar stores. Initially, that's where we were. Now, obviously, we're in many more places. But how can we talk about a product that is not legally available here? It just didn't make sense from day one.
Right.
Right? So a cigar store, and I know that Cigar Aficionado does rate Cuban cigars, and God bless them. They started off as an international magazine from the beginning. We didn't. And so we choose to rate only cigars that are legally available in the U.S. When that changes, we will immediately start rating Cuban cigars.
So these, finally, these are the things that make me go, So it's several M's followed by an H. Not but Otherwise, keep up the good work. I don't know what good work he thinks we're doing, because apparently everything we do is wrong. Cheers, Nick E. I'll cut out the part where I said his last name. Cheers, Nick E., St. Thomas, Ontario. Again, this was sent via feedback@cigarsnobmag.com. Again, you can send your feedback there, and we will maybe read it and address it on the podcast.
Or bash it.
Or bash it. So sorry, Nick, you're wrong about everything. Calm down. All right, and we are going to break for a moment for a word from one of our non-Cuban cigar sponsors, Villiger. Villiger Cigars is celebrating 130 years in tobacco and unveiling its first ever full-bodied premium handmade cigar in the Villiger La Vencedora. It's a follow-up to the highly acclaimed Villiger La Flor de Inclán and Villiger Sandoro Colorado. The Nicaraguan Puro is wrapped in a beautiful Nicaraguan Habano Oscuro wrapper and boasts a potent full-bodied smoking experience featuring highly seasoned, hearty flavors. The Villiger La Vencedora is a palate-pleasing, full-bodied yet elegant cigar that will satisfy the cigar connoisseur as well as the casual smoker. Make sure that you visit Villiger online at villigercigars.com. Check them out on Facebook, facebook.com/villiger.northamerica, Twitter at Villiger Cigars, that's cigars with an S at the end, and Instagram at Villiger Cigar, just Villiger Cigar, no S at the end, on Instagram. All right, and we're back, and we're going to give you some of our parting recommendations. Every episode we end letting you know some of the things that we think you should buy, eat, smoke, drink, do, watch, listen to. Ivan, what do you got?
My recommendations are starting to sound like a Bob Vila, like home improvement spot.
But you've been doing a lot of that.
Because I think last time I told you not to buy a certain type of wood stain, so I'm still on the home improvement kick here, and what I am recommending for you to buy, which I did use and it was excellent, was a Freud Diablo ATB carbide tipped saw blade. Okay, I'll tell you why I bought this. I know this sounds super complicated.
It's a saw blade Fra Diablo?
No, not Fra Diablo.
That's just what I heard. Maybe it's because I'm hungry, but I heard Fra Diablo there.
What is Fra Diablo?
It's a sauce. It's an Italian way of preparing like shrimp or chicken.
Okay, that was over my head.
Shrimp blah blah blah.
Shrimp blah 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 blah.
Yes, shrimp Fra Diablo.
Okay, back to my saw blade. So, I have this cheap, crappy circular saw that I use. And I was cutting some 2x4s and the thing would jam up on me. And I wanted to throw this thing away. I said, you know what? Let me change the blade before I throw this thing away.
Oh, because you thought it was the actual circular
Yeah,
saw, 'cause
yeah,
it's a cheapo.
because it was cheaper. I paid like 30 or 40 bucks for it. So I said, let me change the soft blade to see if it makes a difference. And this thing cuts
Butter.
like butter. Yeah, amazing. So I don't know if it's because of the brand, Freud Diablo, Fra Diablo, or because of the type of blade it is, which is a carbide tip blade. But this thing's amazing. Anyways, if you got to cut any wood, use this blade.
What kind of wood were you cutting, man?
Like 2x4s.
Just 2x4 pine?
2x4, yeah. The thing with the old one with
White
the old
pine or
blade,
no, I'm kidding.
yeah, would jam up instantly. Anyways, with this thing, it's awesome. So it might only cut for the next 20 or 30 cuts, but as of right now, it's amazing.
You're giving it a compliment. Stay with the compliment.
Yeah, it's good. No.
So I can't wait to see what the finished product looks like.
Oh yeah.
I got some stuff to show you guys.
Yeah?
Yeah,
You're bringing in some woodwork?
I'll take pictures. I'm not bringing anything in.
All right, Eric. What are you recommending?
Oh, man, I'm easy. Right now, really, I'm getting in the... basketball season is heating up now, right? So we got March Madness coming up. I was at a Heat game last night. The Heat are starting to look good. These races for playoff spots down the stretch are becoming a lot of fun to watch. And so, yeah, basketball, and more basketball right now.
Oh, I thought it was going to be like a book on tape, like a John Wooden basketball.
You're such a dick.
That's what
No, the John Wooden book is very
It
good,
is
though.
good, though.
The Pyramid of Greatness.
So I have 3 recommendations. I know.
You know what he does? He doesn't even put them in the show notes
I only
so
thought
that we don't know what the
I
hell.
only thought of them now. It was a last minute, scrambling. One of them I just thought of when you were talking about basketball. You can get online. This is sort of one of those like easy, cheap watch an Oscar winner things. You can get online, search on YouTube for Dear Basketball, and watch the short film that got Kobe Bryant his Oscar.
Oh, cool. Good idea.
So yeah, look up Dear Basketball on YouTube, and you can find it there.
I did like your tweet about it, though.
What was
About
my tweet?
Shaq.
That's right. Yeah, Shaq was robbed. Kobe Bryant, should
He
be
just comes in, has his little short film, bam, wins an Oscar.
Kazam, Steel, Blue Chips. Kobe Bryant should be in Shaq's Oscar shadow right now.
For sure.
But there is no justice in the world. What can I say? So, second recommendation, the December 20th episode of the Tim Ferriss Show, which is a podcast. Tim Ferriss is the author of 4 Hour Work Week and a bunch of other things. It's his interview with Terry Crews. So you know him from those like Old Spice commercials and Brooklyn Nine-Nine. I was shocked at how interesting this guy is.
Oh, cool. I'll check that
Super
out.
cool story. He played in the NFL after being like an award-winning high school painter.
Painter?
Yeah, he went to
Artist?
Yeah, he was painting, and then he
God,
talks.
that guy does not strike me as an artist.
No, it was to the point that he took art classes while he was playing football.
While he was doing abs.
While he was doing abs and
Yeah,
playing football
seriously.
in college. And he actually, because he was a football player, and obviously like you don't really have time to engage in a class like a normal student, according to him, he was like taking all his work from high school and he just was turning in from oldest to newest so that it looked like he was progressing throughout the class. But yeah, that and like all kinds of interesting stuff. So I think most people will be surprised at what an interesting character this guy is. And finally, third recommendation, by the way, come in here if you guys want to even out the recommendations, but I only learned about this recently. MakeAmericaDinnerAgain.com. Pretty cool story. It's these 2 Clinton voters in San Francisco who I guess were among the like horrified, confused progressives after this last election when Trump won, started this website, program, project, whatever. And the whole idea is that they help people host dinners all over the U.S. with the specific intent of bringing together people with differing political views to have dinner and like talk about stuff. So that was a pretty cool idea.
When are you hosting your dinner?
Soon. We will announce it on an upcoming episode of the Cigar Snob podcast. The dinner will be hosted at the offices of Cigar Snob, and we're just going to steal everybody's stuff from the fridge without their knowledge. But
You steal Ivan's daily wrap?
Exactly. Yeah, we're going to steal Ivan's rap. But yeah, right now, according to the website, they have dinners in Austin, Berkeley, Denver, Brooklyn, San Francisco, Milwaukee, Houston, Seattle, D.C., and Wichita.
And then it says upcoming at Glenvar Heights.
Exactly,
Florida.
right.
No.
So
So anyway, yeah, check that out. Seemed like a cool idea to me. I don't know how overrun they are because I was hearing about this on multiple podcasts, and maybe there's a lot of demand. But they also have like a sort of like a kit for you to put together your own thing. And I think they have there's a mechanism there for them to help you like pay for some of the expenses and the whole thing. So cool idea. And it occurred to me like it'd be interesting to like do something like this with cigars.
Well, we'll start with the lechon thing that we want to do.
Right. Yeah.
The big pig cookout that we are.
Would you be concerned going to one of these parties that hosted by a liberal, and they know you're the conservative and they might poison you?
Is that what they would do? I don't know if that's the attitude that they're.
No,
No?
just
That's what,
like, here.
just cornered. I think is the worst scenario there.
don't you know that's what liberals do? Is poison?
Yeah,
Like, you taste my mashed potatoes first.
Anyway, you guys have anything else? Anything else we want to touch on here?
No, buddy. I think after 3 recommendations from you, now we have recommendation envy.
Boom. That's what I do. I just come in here, take the recommendation section by storm, and with that, we're out of here. Look for us at cigarsnobmag.com. You can find the rest of these episodes at cigarsnobmag.com/podcast. Look for us on Twitter and Instagram at cigarsnobmag, and look up Cigar Snob Magazine on Facebook. If you're on Google+, then it's just you and me. We should just talk directly. All right. Thank you very much.
Later, y'all.
Adios.